Hey everybody. So, earlier today, Todd from Hexpress did a stream where he was creating a adventure in a small town. He based it on the Macoville Delian tomb, and it kind of snowballed. Anyway, he made what he did available in his forums and said if anyone wants to work on it, go ahead. I was in the chat in that stream, and I decided why not continue working on it on a stream of my own. So for the next hour or so, we're going to continue on with what is already there. So let's take a look at it. So he did it in a web app called Ouija. I'm using Miro. It's same kind of thing. It's a whiteboard. Let's go to, whoop, that's too much. Nope. I want to move, there we go. I'm still getting used to this thing. All right, so the scenario, the goal is to destroy an ancient evil. The ancient evil is a plague stone. This strange rock, as the name implies, spreads plague. The Ratmen have smuggled the stone into a village, and its influence is sickening the villagers. The stone must be found and ritually cleansed in holy water to destroy its evil power. 1 in 6 plague victims will become transmogrified into ratlings instead of death. So maybe a fate worse than death. The locations are a small town, a dungeon beneath the tavern inn, which is basically just one room in the tavern, the basement, and then it goes into the Rattling Warrens, which is sort of like a cave system. There's a couple of rooms there. Oops. And background: a family living in an isolated farmstead outside the village was felled by plague. The Rattlings moved in and cleverly dug a tunnel under the town wall into the cellar of the tavern. Here they hid the plague stone among the barrels of ale. The stone has begun to corrupt the drink, and through consuming them, the townsfolk have begun to fall ill. The local priest of insert religious sect here has commissioned the party to investigate. Nobody in the village has yet connected the ale to the illness. However, the family who runs the tavern have become the most ill. I'm going to add to this something that was discussed. Children do not seem to be affected as they do not drink in the tavern. So I'm going to move this up a bit. There we go. So we need to create a small town, which I'm just going to generate randomly. And we're going to create a couple of NPCs. And there's a couple of creatures here that I think we can take a stab at. There's an ooze. Someone, I forget who it was, mentioned an ale ooze called a booze, which I thought was pretty clever. I think we're going to go for that. And a rat chimeric creature. The ratlings, I think he took it from the Sword and Board supplement from Basic Fantasy RPG. I think that was my suggestion because I've been working on a mini dungeon myself that's got rat people in it, and I don't see rat people very often, so I thought that would be fun. So let's start with generating our town here. A nice little map of the town. We're going to put it over on the side next to this. So to generate this town, we are going to use this, the whatabout.itch.io. So we're going to do generate. We're going to need a temple in there, greens, walls, shantytown. I'm not going to put a shantytown in there because it's a small village. A shantytown is basically it's the ramshackle buildings that show up outside of the walls. Hey, Mikey the goat cat. Hey, hi, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. All right, so we're gonna go small. That looks pretty good. Let's try it again. Small. Ooh, that's too big. Small. There we go. I like that. It's got like two roads coming in. We can easily use that for our purposes. All right, I'm going to export this. Export as PNG. Cool. Now I'm just going to go and grab that over here. And we're going to drop it into this. Downloads. Holy Jesus. That's too big. There we go. Now this we are going to call, what are we going to call this? For some reason Sleepy Hollow popped into my head. I think something hollow we're going to use. Let's call it Shady Hollow. Oops. Let's get a text here. Let's put it right here. Shady Hollow. And let's make this much bigger. Too big. Yo, went too far. There we go. Shady Hollow. Now, let's say, let's do a little, this is going to be 1. Let's say the tavern is here. And we're going to do another 1, 2. We're going to let's put that over, let's put it over there. That'll be the farmstead. This will be the, and then 3. I think 3, let's make this white so we can see it. There we go. Cool. That will be the temple, what have you. Let's do a shape here. There we go. Let's go with that funky color. Inside's going to be white. 1 tavern. Hey, Flynn. Flynn's one of my players. We have a Twilight 2000 game going on next week. 3rd session in like, what, 2 months? Number 1 is going to be the tavern. I'm going to need a tavern name. Let's call it the Pig's Snout Pub. Oop, pub. Pig Snout Pub. 2 is the Abandoned Homestead. And 3 is, let's put the temple. There we go. And we're going to do this like this. Boom. Oh, a little bigger. There we go. Cool. Now we got our town. We can add more. You can add more things to the town. Like we can add the general store and what have you. But for like the pure base of what we need right now, we need these 3 locations. So if we look at the map, I'll move this sticky note over here because I don't need it right now. And I don't need this right now. So if we look at this map, hope I'm not making you guys sick. All right, so we have the tavern, level 1. So this is the Pig Snout Pub. We've got the tavern basement, the stone that we talked about, the plague stone is hidden somewhere in these barrels of ale, and there's a stairway that leads down into the Rattling Warrens. These are Rattling Warrens, some stalagmites and stalactites. And to the farmstead. The farmstead is just a one room building and a barn, which I think is probably where the exit for the Rattling Warren is. So basically we can have the priest or what have you approach the adventurers, or maybe the adventurers come into town and they start noticing like there's plague doctors with those plague masks walking around, and they kind of start to ask what's going on. And they talk to the priest. The priest is unaffected, maybe because he's always dousing himself in holy water. Also, he doesn't go to the tavern to drink, so he's unaffected. Children are uninfected, but a lot of the townsfolk are being infected. So characters would probably be like, hey, what's going on? And they would get this information from the priest. Well, there seems like there's a plague that's started. A family who owns a homestead just outside of town is completely eradicated, and we don't know what's going on. The tavern owner and his family are very sick, and seems like most of the townsfolk are sick. So it would be the townsfolk and basically the townsfolk that frequent the tavern, frequent the Pig Snout Pub. So the priest, let's make the priest here. Let's do all the NPCs in here. Why is this so small? NPCs. All right. I'm still learning how to use this program because I only just started using it today for this express purpose. I thought this would be the easiest way to do it. All right. Priest. Father Dwyer, sure. He is a normal man. He's middle-aged. Balding. Green eyes. Friendly smile. He smells slightly of garlic. Maybe he's superstitious. Eats garlic daily to keep vampires away. Smells slightly of garlic. He's going to be relatively new to the town. Let's say, where's that squiggly line? Around 6 months. So he's been around for 6 months, but he is well liked. people confide in him, as would, you know, if he's a priest, of course they would. People can confide in him. However, he has an air of cowardice. No, that's too strong. Apprehension. There. And he will freely give the PCs any information he has. For instance, 1, he knows that children seem unaffected. 2, he let's say he's all right. He refuses to go into the tavern. 3, he has no reward to give to the PCs for helping. I don't think he would have anything for him. I don't think, as much as maybe he would want to reward them for helping, I don't think he's got really anything to give them. However, he can supply them with not 1d6. I'll say 3 vials of 3 flasks of holy water. That's a lot, but they might need it. No, say 2 flasks. 2 flasks of holy water. There you go. There's Father Dwyer. I'm just gonna erase that. I'll do this. Father Dwyer. Underline. Cool. Let's make this smaller. And so oh, that's not what I want. There we go. Cool. So Father Dwyer, that's done. Now, what about the barkeep? Let's say, let's do another one. Barkeep. Let's call him Friedrich Friedrich Outer. I don't know why. That's just his name. All right. He is also normal man. What's this? This one is okay. All right. I'm just being weird. Okay, rotund. Oops. I don't want the underline. Stop that. Stop it. There we go. Rotund with a long braid of hair. It's kind of the opposite of the priest. Rotund with a long braid of hair and a handlebar mustache. Because why not? Has lived in, what do I call this town? Shady Hollow. Shady Hollow his entire life. The let's say the wife at the homestead was his sister. So he has a vested interest in finding out what's going on, besides the fact that everyone who drinks at his establishment seems to be dying or turning into these rat creatures. He is somewhat secretive with the PCs because he is afraid that his tavern will be to blame for the plague, which it kind of is, but it's not his fault. See, he has heard noises in the cellar. Let's go here. Oops. He noticed claw marks and loose soil. Noticed claw marks and loose soil. I didn't want to put a double space there. In the cellar 2 weeks ago, but has not been down since. He can offer the PCs, say 300 gold pieces for helping solve the mystery of the plague. There. So we have the barkeep and we have Father Dwyer. And then I think we need one more NPC. We're going to make a local kid. I think local kids know everything, right? So let's call this local kid. Philip Sorensen. I like doing relatively realistic names instead of those like super high fantasy names. That's just the way I am. All right. Impetuous youth of about 10. He seems to know all the goings on in town. He won't give up any information for free. So let's say if he won't give up any information for free, if the characters offer him, say, like a 1 gold piece, a copper piece even, he'll run his mouth. He has reddish hair and a crooked smile. Actually, he has reddish hair, a crooked smile, and a sassy mouth. So maybe he talks back to them. Talks back to the PCs. So one, he knows, or he saw ratlings in the dead of night. near the homestead. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to lay these little clues. If they talk to these people, if the players talk to these people, they'll get these little clues like, oh, there's like loose soil in the basement of the tavern. Rattlings were seen by the homestead, so maybe make those connections, and they'll choose one of those places to go search. And once they start searching there, then they'll get set off on this little dungeon crawl of like 5 rooms. Near the homestead. His friend got the plague. When pressed, since kids are unaffected, he will begrudgingly, it's not really the right word I want to use, but he will begrudgingly admit that his friend drank from the remnants of a beer stein. Apparently I spelled begrudgingly. There we go. I'm pretty sure that's spelled wrong too. No, I spelled it right. Alright, so his friend got the plague. And 3. What else could he know? Say 3. Let's give him something random. Hasn't seen his father in 3 days since he went to the tavern. So not necessarily, the players won't necessarily get all of these things, but at least if we leave these little clues, like if they only talk to Father Dwyer, maybe then they'll get a couple of things, and maybe if they end up talking to one of these other people, they'll start to get like a bigger picture of what's going on. All right, so we got our 3 NPCs. Let's get rid of these guys. Doom. All right, a new ooze creature. So let's say it needs to be, we kind of want it to be something that's growing out of the rot that this plague stone is causing in the basement. So maybe it's started out as a leak in the barrels and has started to like mix with the rotted wood and the dirt, and has become this like the booze. For lack of a better word. Okay, so let's make another one here. There we go. The booze. And I think the whole point of this was to just quickly and easily create an adventure that you could run for first level characters and get them started, or like a quick 3-hour game that won't take very long to run, and something that's kind of fun and different. Booze is a mixture born of the rot caused by the plague stone. Stale beer, dirt, rat droppings, ugh, and fungus have created that's a good word. Moldering? No. That's a good word for this. We've created a gelatinous. Oh, that's not how you spell it. Gelatinous ooze that grows as it consumes ooze. It grows as it consumes rot and decay and leaves fetid manure in its wake. All right, so let's call this HD1. Ooh, wow, that was just HD1, or yeah, why not? HD1, but the HD doubles when the ooze doubles in size. How we're going to calculate whether or not the ooze is doubled in size is another thing, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think maybe something like as it eats, every 3 times it consumes something, it doubles in size, and so its HD will double. Number appearing, I'm just going to say 1, because 1. AC. Let's see. Let me look at the jellies in Basic Fantasy. So I think I'm gonna judge it based on the jellies in Basic Fantasy. It'll give me a sort of like a spread of what the ACs are like. I think they're relatively low. Well, maybe not low, but 12, 12, 12. Okay, so they're all AC 12. So it'd be, let's call it AC 12 or in parenthesis 8, depending if you're using ascending or descending. Attack. Let's go back to the jellies. I haven't used very many jellies. I don't think I've ever used a jelly, actually, to be honest with you. Definitely need to do that more. It does 2. The jellies are actually pretty. Number of attacks 1, damage. Okay, so say 1. Damage. Let's say this is a first level adventure, so I'm just going to say it does 1d6 plus plus poison. It's kind of rough, But let's go your movement. 1 foot. Yeah. What? Movement 1 foot. Movement 20. Movement. I'll say 20. Let's expand this. And morale. Say, I'm gonna say 12, but like 12 is just gonna keep fighting until it's dead kind of thing. And what else we have here? XP and treasure type. Using the BX. Well, BX from Basic Fantasy. Basing it off that. Yeah, I'm going to say none. Oddly enough, gelatinous cubes have a treasure type. I'm going to say none. None. And XP. If I go to... Where's the XP thing on here? I think it's going to be like 75. Maybe 49. $25 plus special. I'm gonna say 40. XP 40. All right. When the booze, let's see, actually, on a successful attack, victim of the booze rolls save versus poison or takes an additional 1d4 damage. Take an additional 1d4 damage. Yeah, you know what? Because they're going to start to rot. So when the booze attacks you successfully, it's not really, it damages you, but you begin to rot. Or it's not going to do the extra damage. Or take, yeah, 1d4 damage every round. As the flesh begins to rot. All right, we'll see what Todd thinks of that. Let's see if he likes that. But again, like, this is the nice thing about this is we're kind of like, he started it and then he put it up on his Discord and said if anyone wants to, like, you know, play around with it. And I was like, hey, I might do a stream later. And I was like, cool. So I'm taking what he started and I'm kind of making it my own. I feel like 1 hit die for this booze is maybe not, maybe 2 hit die. Fire causes double damage to the booze. Just to give it a little vulnerability. All right. So, ooze creature is done. Chimeric rat creature. Okay, so we might leave the chimeric rat creature for either another time or for someone else to try out. Let's say, all right, let's start numbering these. I kind of wish I had his dungeon scroll. Oops. I wish I had Todd's dungeon scroll file so I could work on this in dungeon scroll, but we're going to go with 1. Flynn, I'm basically on BX, but I was using basic fantasy just to make my life a little easier, and because I had the basic fantasy book literally right next to me. So, but yeah, I'm personally using, like, I was thinking of using BX for this, or BX adjacent rules. All right, so the tavern's going to be 1. The tavern basement is going to be 2. So these are, like, we're thinking of these as rooms in the basement, or rooms in the basement, rooms in the dungeon. So we have level 1, level 2. Let's call this level 3. This is going to be level 4. Or level 5. Wait, it's not level. What am I talking about? Level. Room 5. And homestead 6. And the barn 7. There we go. So, let's scroll out. So we have the tavern basement, tavern level 1. The Rattling Warrens, which is the... Yes, I know basic fantasy is perfectly fine, Flynn. I think when we're finished our T2K game, we're playing a basic fantasy. And I feel like we're gonna play it for a long time because I want to. Also, basic fantasy, like as far as stats are concerned, like they're laid out almost exactly like BX. So like it's super easy to go back and forth. Rattling Warrens, a couple of rooms off there, then the farmhouse and the barn. So we are going to, I'm just going to zoom this out and reorganize this a bit. So this is going to go over here, here. Let's put our NPCs here. Put the booze here. I don't know if we'll get around to doing the... I'll move this bit over. There we go. Chimeric rat creature. I think that's going to be for another day. This is getting deleted. Oh, jeez. I forgot. All right. There. Two was over here. One is over here. And then I just had a 3 here that was white somewhere. There we go. And this guy is going here. So I gotta remember I can't, if I do that to here, oh, my daughter decided she's gonna play some Nintendo. So 2. There's a problem with doing this on this. So I put the numbers on, and then if I want to move things around, the numbers are not. Although I suppose I could have just clicked and dragged the whole thing. No, hindsight's 2020. And there we go. Oh, look at that. I can learn. All right, so let's do this. All right. So one, the what do you call it? Pig's Snout Pub. Is that right? No, I call it something else. There we go. Yeah, Pig's Snout Pub. All right. Several tables are scattered around the main room. Not the main room, the only room. I don't know why my phone is doing that. It's on vibrate and still. Okay, there's the door, there's the table. Okay. So the bar is along the north wall. Stairs leading to the cellar are in an alcove on the south wall. There is also cellar access outside. What are those things called where you have like basement access from a door outside and it's like slanted against, I think it's called, it's not storm doors. Storm cellar. Maybe storm cellar. On the exterior east wall of the building. Let's see, what do you put in this picture? Some tables. I'm gonna say there's a large boar's head hangs over the fireplace. That hangs over the fireplace that features a spit roast for pig. Features, call it a pig roast. Yeah, spit roast, why not? Roast for pigs. All right, so there are a few patrons, as most healthy villagers avoid the tavern. My daughter's listening to Metallica or something on the TV, and it's probably going to give me a copyright strike because I'm pretty sure it's coming over the microphone. Villagers avoid the tavern. There is a jar of pickled onions on the bar. I like putting these little weird, interesting Maybe not even interesting, just weird things. Weird descriptors. It's kind of, I find, makes things feel a little more, you know, alive. Now, of course, we're going to need to put... Oh, good. Thanks, Flint. You can't hear it. I can hear it, and it's annoying. As much as I like Metallica, I don't need to have it screaming at me. Okay, so... Pig's Snout Pub Cellar. Let's just underline these, make it fancy. I don't know if we'll finish this. I think what will be fun is if I don't finish this, maybe throw it out there, put it on Todd's forums, be like, hey, this is what I've added to it, and see if someone else wants to pick it up and continue it on a stream or something like that, or if he wants to grab it and keep going. It's kind of fun. It's fun when you have like someone starts something and then you continue it. You get this like weird mix of different people's creativity. Okay, the cellar smells. Oh, God. Try and make things fancy and then gets too fancy. Cellar smells of rot and decay. The air is humid and almost humid and hard to breathe. Beer leaks out of the bottom of rotted barrels. I'm going to use casks. I'm using a fancy word for fancy dungeons. Beer leaks out the bottom of rotted casks. Yeah, I'm going to say the plague stone is hidden behind a stone. No. So I want to be like if... Oh, now you can hear it? Yes, I know the poor beer, Flynn. I know. But sometimes things need to get sacrificed for the greater rattling plans. I don't want the plague stone to be out in the open, because if the players go here directly and they find the plague stone, like, okay, they'll get rid of the plague stone, and like that's kind of the end. Well, I guess they'd still have to get rid of the rattlings, I would imagine. Yeah. Hidden behind several casks. Careful searching of the cellar will reveal it. Remember, it's not a mechanical thing. We're not going to make them rely on succeeding at a roll, as long as they are able to explain what it is they want to do, or what they're doing. Then that will be enough. Let's move this a bit bigger. No, that's too big. There we go. All right. Let's go with monster. The booze. Booze is in a corner and will stay there. Actually, I was going to say it is in the corner under the stairs, in the corner by the stairs, and will stay there unless a PC approaches or after. Hey, Mercurius, thank you for joining us. Well, actually, I'm probably going to be signing off in about 10 minutes or so, but you can catch it on the restream. We are working on continuing Hexpress's little adventure here. Or after 2 turns. So I think if the players spend 2 turns in the cellar, then that's when the booze is going to try and attack. Well. Yeah, I mean, you can't win them all. It was kind of a last minute decision I made. Just because I wasn't sure if I kind of wanted to play something tonight, but then my daughter's kind of sick. She's had a fever for a few days. Like, it's going up and down. Like, it'll go up a bit and then come down to normal. And I thought doing something like this for an hour and a bit would be a bit easier to deal with than playing for 3 hours in case she needs me, because my wife is working nights this week, so she's not home. Kind of on my own tonight. So I kind of wanted to play, but I will have a good weekend. It's Canada Day weekend, so for all my fellow Canadians, happy Canada Day. Last weekend was Saint Jean Baptiste weekend. In Quebec, we get the 2 holidays back to back, so we get 2 4-day weeks, which is awesome. And I guess you Americans have got July 4th next weekend. All right, so is there treasure down here? You know what? Let's leave that up to the Oracle gods. Let's say red is no, white is yes. Is there treasure? Yes, there is. So you got to give them treasure. It's an adventure. Players need to get treasure somehow. 300 gold is not going to cover it. America. It's a treasure. Now, the booze does not have a treasure rating. So, what we're going to have to do is, first of all, we're going to have to move this stuff. Not that. Get out of here. All right. No, stop. Why are you moving? There you go. This is going to get moved down here. This is going to get moved down here. This, because now I've learned, it's going to move down there. And then this is going to get extended. And I can move everything up after if I want to, but for now. So the booze doesn't have a treasure rating. So we're going to have to go with calling it unguarded treasure, I think. So unguarded treasure, what are we going to do? We're going to go back to basic fantasy. And it's going to be treasure. Unguarded treasure, here we go. Level 1. I'm going to roll it up. My 30-sided dice, because I thought maybe I would need a D30 companion, but I managed to do this all off the top of my head. Like a champ. So I'll just roll on here. 67, so that's 1d8 copper. So 500 copper. 500 CP. 50% chance of silver. 32, so 1d6 silver. 100 silver. Electrum, 25% chance of Electrum. That is a 7, so it is a 1d4. Do I have a d4 here? Yes, I do. 2. Could use the ooze treasure type. I could, but the only thing that the only ooze that has treasure is gelatinous cube, and that's because it's a pretty high HD. That's okay. I don't want to give them like a ton of treasure here, so that's 200 Electrum. 200 EP. Let's see any gold. 7% chance of gold. They do not get gold. Platinum, 1% chance. They do not get platinum. Gems and jewelry. Oh, nope, they do not. They needed 7% to get gems, and I got 8. Do not get any jewelry, and of course they do not get any magic. All right, cool. I think that's fine. Hidden in a burlap sack behind a stone in the wall. It has clearly been there for years. Now the other thing is, this is a dungeon, so like, do we want traps? I'm going to say no, we don't want traps, because it's a first level adventure. There's already stuff that is going to pose a big challenge to the players, like the boos, the ratlings. There's the ratter, which is an advancing ratling, like a more difficult ratling. So there's a lot of things that they're going to have to combat. So I think adding traps to it is just going to be an extra kind of punch in the face, for lack of a better word. I forgot to put stairs carved out of the earth lead into the Ratling Warrens. Let's put those capitals because it's a whole Ratling Warrens. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Pig Snout Pub. Now, thing with this is I can't just make that one bigger, which I don't, for the life of me, I don't understand why I can't make one piece of the text bigger as opposed to everything else. So that's kind of annoying, but we're going to bolden it. It's called Pig Snap Pub. So now I can go like this, and we're going to do the Ratling Warrens. We are going to do this. We are going to bolden it. And so we got 3 rooms in there, plus the farmhouse. I think, though, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. I don't know, I kind of want to keep working on this, but also it is getting kind of late. So you know what? Let's go for another 10 minutes, and maybe we can bang out the Ratling Warrens. And that way, we can give someone else something to work with. This chimeric rat creature needs to be created still. I think the ratter creature needs to be. But there's a in the book where we got the ratlings from. There's a. They're called rat folk to begin with, or rat men. And there's the rat man brute, which is sort of a bigger, stronger Ratman. That's kind of what Todd was thinking for the rattling, the ratter. Now, also in the farmhouse and barn, we're gonna have, I think it's where the giant centipede is going to be, and the carrion crawler is going to be in the at the homestead. But I think actually for now, that's all right. That's, you know what, I'm just having kind of too much fun here, but I am going to need to go and make sure everything's okay with my daughter. So, say 3. That's not what I want. Let's call this the main chamber. Boom. Dungeons are fun, guys. Dungeons are fun. I don't know if I would qualify this as a dungeon. It's definitely an adventure, but I don't know about calling it a dungeon right now. Stalag. How do you spell this? Stalagmites. And stalactites. Stalag. I knew I was spelling it wrong. Stalagmites and stalactites. This is what I ever do. If I'm ever stalactite, why would they? Of course. Whenever I'm having, I rarely have issues with spelling. It's just one of those things. I can spell really, really well. I really have issues, but when I do, I just go to Google and start typing it into the search bar and see if it pops up. Cover this chamber like teeth. I don't know. That's kind of poetic. The dirt floor is a mixture of mud and earth. Dripping can be heard coming from one. I think stalactites are the ones that are. Stalactites are the ones that hang down, right? Well, that's what I'm going to say. And if it's not, then someone else is going to have to change it. One of the stalactite into a pool of thick what's the word I'm looking for? Algae filled water. Smell is rancid. And the other thing is he wanted one of the things Todd was talked about this was wanting sort of some faction play, which I think he was at a loss of how to make that work in this. I kind of am too. I don't know, like, what would you have with the ratlings that we're going to create, like a faction that could interplay against each other. You'd have to have like a natural enemy, and depending on what you wanted, how you wanted it, like what you want in your world. I think it works like this though, without the faction play. It's a very simple, straightforward adventure. Like, deal with the rats in the cellar, basically. Let's say monster. What is the number appearing in that sorting board? Did I download it? I don't know if I did. Not on this computer, I don't think. Oh, I did. Find out what the table of contents. That's not. I know it's page 41. Ratman. Number appearing 2d6. I'm going to say 1d6. 1d6. Oops. 6 Ratmen. Feeding on. What are they feeding on? Let's say they are. I'll put that down there. Feeding on handfuls of wet algae. This is a guy. I got. I'll be honest. I got kind of gross with this. I kind of took the rot and ran with it. Treasure. Let's leave it to the dice. I think there's probably treasure in here. And Ratman probably, yes, there's treasure in here. Treasure. The thing is, they've stolen. I think they've stolen a lot of the stuff from the people of town. Especially like the homestead, they've probably taken a lot of their valuables, or like just stuff from the tavern. So, what treasure, Ratman? The treasure type is L. S in layer. I'm gonna say this is the Ratman layer. So, actually, it's CO Q times 10 S in layer. What? That makes no sense. S times 10. Oh, I see what they did. Instead of just picking a different one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with C, and then we're going to add S to it. So C, 60%. Let's go with this. Yes, so that is 66. Oh my god. I only have 46 in here, surprisingly. Alright, I'm going to do this room, and then we're going to call it a day. So 10, 13, 17. Two more. 17, 23, 28, So 2,800 copper. That's a lot, man. 1,800 copper. And let's do silver. All right, it's 5d4. I only got 1d4 here. How many other d4s do I got? I got a lot of d4s, but it's all if I can find them right now, which I can't. So let's do this. 4, 7, 10, 12, 15, 1,500 silver. This is like the big score. No electrum. The gold was 2d4 times 10 in hundreds. 1, 4 times 10. 4 times 10 is 40. Times 100. That's 4,000 gold. What? Oh no, it's 40 10 times. Okay, so let's say 40 gold. 40 gold pieces. Plus we're getting the 300. Plus if you convert all that to gold. It's not a princely sum, but. And, alright, C for gems and jewelry. 79, that's a hard no. Oh, that. So, jewelry, 1d4. We have 4 pieces of jewelry. 4 pieces of jewelry. And magic items. See if there's any magic items. 15% of any 1d2. 7, so there is a magic item here. Okay, cool. Any 1d2, so you have 1 magic item here. So let's go to the magic items here in Basic Fantasy. Any. We got 94 miscellaneous items. Alright, so where's miscellaneous items? Miscellaneous items. Effect subtitles. Subtables. 28. Okay, so that's subtable 1. We roll that one 9. 59. Fire resistance. Okay, interesting. And then it is a 40. So horn of fire resistance. Interesting. Okay, cool. Treasure is piled among garbage and refuse. All right, I like that. I think that works. Cool. So there's just there's 2 rooms in the Rattling Warrens to finish up, plus the farmhouse and the barn. We have. So let's go over what we did. So I took what Todd had, and I started working on stuff that either I saw that maybe the adventure would need, or things that I heard him talk about in his stream. So I felt we needed a couple of NPCs, so I created Father Dwyer, which is the priest in the town. One Matt mentioned in the background of the adventure. A local kid, just because I thought a local kid, because his children don't get sick, I thought a local kid might have some interesting information. And the barkeep, who is violently ill. He is extremely sickly. All right, so we created those 3 NPCs, and we also created the booze, which I don't know if Todd will ever use it or not, but it was something that came up in the stream, and so we called it the booze because it's a mixture of, it's something that's grown out of the beer caused by this plague stone, and it's basically an ooze. We've also created a little map of the town, which I just took off the whatabout.itch.io, and based a couple of locations. If this town were to become like the base of operations for further adventures, then you could definitely flesh this town out a bit more. It wouldn't be such a bad idea. And then we worked on filling out a couple of the rooms in the dungeon, for lack of a better word. So overall, I think so far it's shaping up to be an interesting, weird, kind of gross adventure. And I kind of hoping that someone else is going to grab it and continue working on it and see what we come up with. I think that'll be pretty fun. So that's it. I had fun doing that. It was a lot of fun to like continue what was started on a stream earlier today and just, you know, add to it and sort of like collaborate through streams kind of thing. I hope you guys liked it, and maybe we'll do more stuff like this in the future. At any rate, I need to go take care of my daughter. So until next time, save a seat for me at your table.